Hi everyone, it's Roger and James here from the What's on Disney Plus podcast. In this retro club review, we're going to be taking a look at Treasure Planet. Now, I'm going to say as a retro review, I actually never seen this movie before. It's been one that I've been talking about for a long time, and we have been using these as a good excuse to go back and check out some of the things missing from. So this one originally came out back in 2002, and was kind of a modern take of the classic Treasure Island story, which Disney they've done this one a lot. This one apparently had been sitting around Disney for decades. They kept trying to do it. Had you seen this movie before?
I'd actually seen it a couple of times, but not recently. Probably not in the last decade, honestly. But I did see it several times around the time it came out on DVD.
Yeah, see, this one, I think, again, is that right at that period of being 2002, so I'd have been like early 20s. Didn't really appeal. Pixar was absolutely just on top game at that point, and this movie just never appealed. It didn't. It just, for some reason, and watching it through last night, I was like, oh yeah, I didn't like it. There was something about it which just, because when we watched Atlantis recently, and we've watched some of the other ones from that era, and this one was just one of us going, oh, I don't like the visual aspect of it. I don't really like the characters. I didn't like him as a main character.
Star Surfer.
Yeah, it was like, I was like, okay, well, we know what that. It's like, oh, he's a surfer skateboarding dude. And I'm like, okay. I was like, well, that aged it instantly, of like trying to make it modern, but making it so like, yo, chill, dude. It was like, okay. And then a pirate ship in space. It was just like, no, this is stupid. This is just stupid, and like pretending it's like it's like it is it's still a ship in space. Because apparently there was this, I read that they had this thing of like a 70-30 rule, where everything had to be like classically like old-fashioned for 70%, and then like 30% topped on to make it look modern. And I just really didn't like that visual aspect to it. It was like, no, either lean in on it, making it futuristic, or don't. I just did not like the way they did it. It just felt weird.
I will admit, I kind of enjoyed the view for it. I kind of enjoyed the, like, yeah, it's space as the metaphor. I don't think the visuals worked in most cases, but I at least admired them for trying. And they did end up getting some fun visuals, but mostly in like those pan shots where they're like, we're going from place to place. Nothing is happening plot wise, but we're showing some scenes in space and the crew doing crew things and so on. And I enjoyed those because they made space very colorful. But I also see exactly what you're saying. Like, why is an old school galleon flying through space?
Yeah, I mean, I know apparently technology was a big aspect for it. Is why it kept getting pushed back, because they couldn't do what they wanted until the technology came up that they could do it. But even that made no sense, because 1 minute it looked very modern, but then it looked really bad because it was, the technology hasn't aged well at all, and it was like, oh.
I remember it looking okay back when it came out, but of course, I was watching it on a DVD, which is much lower resolution than it is now, and the technology was still very new, and it's like, oh yeah, it's fine. And you go back to it now, watching it in either 1080p. I think it's available in 4K, and it's like, oh yeah, this did not age well visually.
No. Because it's kind of ironic, because I think the 2D animation looked beautiful.
It looked great.
It looked very high res. It looked very, but the minute they started doing all the panning stuff with all the computer generated, it just dated it. And it's like the characters and stuff, I don't know. I know what they were doing, but I never really connected with the characters. I didn't like the lead.
That might be a problem with the source material more than the actual, because One thing I do like the Treasure Island story quite a bit, and I, in fact, read it last year, the original version of it, and you go back and you read it or whatever, and it's like, yeah, I don't like any of these characters. They're all jerks, including the main character, and
Yeah.
I that might be a problem with the source material, but of course that also leads to the point where it's like, if there's a problem with the source material, maybe either don't use the source material or fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of weird because they had hit this whole thing of like him turn on Long John Silver or whatever it was, and I was a bit like, well, to be honest, Long John was being nicer than the captain up to that point.
That was a big theme in the book, is that, yeah, Long John has this reputation as a really dangerous pirate. He won't hesitate to kill people. He will absolutely backstab people. But at the same time, you're like, he's a better choice than the captain. I can see why people went to piracy. I'd rather work for him.
Yeah, it was because it kind of was like, and he's like, oh, I'm getting too soft, and he's getting too close, and he goes, well, we got to take. I'm trying to. And I got to the end and go, well, why is he picked to work with the captain? Because she didn't do anything, and it was one of those weird things that get like, and she's like part cat. Like, I didn't quite get.
I probably wouldn't worry too much about that, because all the characters are pretty weird in that. Like, you got robots floating around. Yeah.
Well, the robots I didn't have a problem with. It was like it was like, okay.
Yeah, it's Tiberaxi or whatever the heck.
Yeah, is. And it was, and the thing that also got me was his friend that went with him, was because I only know him as Niles Crane, right? And I think because he's been in so many other Disney movies, the voice didn't like. I found it a bit jarring.
Yeah, that is a problem with David Hyde Pierce. Is he probably shouldn't do voice acting work, because he always sounds like David Hyde Pierce.
Yeah.
Most notably, he was in A Bug's Life as the stick bug.
Yeah. I think I just couldn't. It was like, because I'm listening to him and I'm just going, yeah, I know you just came out, but I don't know. That was the only, because I instantly picked up on his voice. I didn't really recognize anybody else's voice. I knew him the second that one came on. But I was kind of watching it going, yeah, this is really like, I can see why this movie has gone in the slip of, I can see why this movie has kind of been forgotten.
Well, it's in that Dark Ages period too. We talked about it with Atlantis and Brother Bear and stuff like that. So there was that whole chunk of movies from the mid 90s on to the mid.
I thought Atlantis was so much better than this.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying that this is a judgment on the quality of those movies. I'm just saying they kind of get dropped between the cracks and people forget they exist, and it includes stuff like Meet the Robinsons and other movies. I was going over the cast list here, because David Hyde Pierce is the obvious one, and most of the people on this list I do not recognize at all, but I was surprised to find Joseph Gordon-Levitt playing the main character, because obviously back when this came out I had no idea who he was, but now he's been in some pretty big films, and like, well, okay, it's a pretty good start for him. And then the only other person I recognize is Martin Short, who did the voice of Ben, and Laurie Metcalf, who at the time would have been coming off of a very successful run on Roseanne, I think.
Who was that? Sorry, Lauren Metcalf.
Laurie Metcalf was.
Oh yeah. The auntie.
Yeah.
And again,
but I didn't recognize her. I only know that because I saw her on the IMDb cast list.
It's funny as well, because it's like Martin Short. I'm there going, because it's like with that robot. I'm there going, I was there thinking, it's kind of giving me like the Genie Robin Williams vibe of being a bit crazy and a bit out there, and like a bit of ad-libbing and stuff. And I don't know, it was just a very strange movie. I definitely did not connect with it. I really just, this was one of those, oof. Like, if I was to say like I would say probably like one of the worst animated ones I've seen. It's probably
and that's.
I think I enjoyed Chicken Little, which I still got to watch Home on the Range. It's still on the list of things.
Do you have to watch Home?
I feel like I need to, because I feel like that's like the one that's missing from my library now.
And you can do that retro review with somebody else.
That one. I kind of feel like I need to watch it, but this one is. if I had to do an order list of like, the 60, is it the 60 animated movies? We must be getting close to that now.
I thought we were past 60 actually.
Yeah, I would definitely be like, this would be like numbers. This would be like probably second to last or last right now.
It's definitely low on the list. I have a certain amount of nostalgia for it, but I will acknowledge that it is nostalgia goggles that are holding it. If I'm looking at this objectively, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't hold up well, and there's not much memorable about it. I mean, the most memorable thing is probably the song from it, and I can't remember the name of it. I mean, that's where it's going from, but it's the song about like, don't tell me what to be, or this is who I am. It's something like that. It's by yeah.
This is great. This is the thing of it's so memorable. I can't remember the name of it. Who was it by?
No. I didn't say it was memorable. I said it was the most memorable part of the movie, which is a low bar to set.
Yeah. I mean, apparently, it was a box office flop. It cost 140 million to make, and he brought in 109 million at the box office. Was considered one of the most expensive movies Disney, one of the biggest flops from Disney, which is kind of weird because when they say about things like flops and stuff, you get movies like John Carter or something thrown around, and I look at and it's like John Carter I enjoyed watching it. This was just one of those. This is so boring. This is so. I wouldn't say even cliche, but it was just like, like, I'm really just not clicking with this movie at all. And we did Atlantis, and I really enjoyed that movie. So it's not like it's like you say, with nostalgia goggles and things like that. But this was just one of those movies. I really just don't. It just doesn't get me. And I wouldn't even say this was average. This was below average. It's just really just didn't click.
Yeah, I mean it's an acceptable adaptation of Treasure Island, but I think he can do much better. And there's a reason this one's not really remembered. It's not even just the time period it came out. It's not like it missed that Beauty and the Beast to Lion King to Mulan time period. No, it missed the mark. I will give them points for trying on this one. You can tell they were experimenting with a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things in this that they were playing with the technology. They wanted to see if they could do something slightly different. It's not part of the Disney formula. It's very, it doesn't have songs other than the one song, I'm Still Here. It doesn't, even the sidekick, even the Martin Short character, he's not like Eddie Murphy or Robin Williams from those movies. So I give them points for trying, but they definitely missed the mark with this. And if anyone was like, oh, I want to see Treasure Island, I'd go to the Muppets. Muppets Treasure Island is still the best interpretation of Treasure Island. Although if you want a serious version, I think it was Showtime show, or Cinemax actually, Black Sails is really good.
Yes,
it's a prequel to Treasure Island.
Yeah, I did watch a couple episodes of that one. But yeah, this one's definitely one I would be like, yeah. If I had to give it a score, I'd say 2 out of 5. This was kind of probably one of my least favorite things I've seen for a while. What about you?
Yeah, 2.5 out of 5 is probably somewhere in that zone.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments below what you think of Treasure Planet. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I nearly said island then.
Treasure Planet, Treasure Island.
Yeah. If, as per usual, you can go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. You can follow and subscribe on all the different social medias. Find us on the audio platforms where these go up as bonus episodes. And also Patrons and YouTube channel members get access to these earlier than everybody else. We do try to make it so that it's not locked away. But yeah, so they get access to these a little bit earlier. They also get to vote on this one. This was actually one that got voted on as being the one they wanted us to review. And
yeah, I hope we didn't just completely trash on your favorite movie, guys.
That's the thing. Sometimes, this is why we sometimes want to do different stuff.
Well, wasn't that 90s Western movie with Kurt Russell or whatever? Wasn't that also voted on?
Yeah. Tall Tale, wasn't it?
That one.
Yeah.
Maybe we should stop letting people.
I don't know. It's very funny of what ones it is. But yeah, we've got some other episodes coming up in February, including Mary Poppins Returns, The Rocketeer, and also Bolt. So that's going to be the February's lineup.
I need to watch The Rocketeer again. No spoilers on your review of it, but I definitely have some very fine nostalgia goggles for that one. I just remember it being a fun action adventure. We'll let you talk about it in the other one.
Yeah, the nostalgia goggles weren't a thing for that one, but nevertheless, we shall see you guys soon. Laters.